there everyone. In this little short clip I'm just going to show you how to cast off or bind off your knitting. It's very simple. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it, but I'm going to show you the traditional way, and I'm going to show you how to bind off your stitches. So let's get started. So I want to show you how to bind off your stitches when you've knitted. Now there are a lot of different ways for you to do this. This is the traditional way that I'm going to show you now, and probably the easiest. So I recommend you start with this one, and I'll show you another way to bind off as well. But let me just show you the traditional way. Now it doesn't matter what you've done, whether you've done ribbing or you've done a knit purl or just knit, you will bind off the same way. So it doesn't matter what stitch you've done. As long as you've got your stitches like this, this is how what you're going to do is you're going to knit your first 2 stitches. Just knit your first 2 stitches like you would knit regularly. Okay, now you've got your stitches on this side and here. Take your this needle and come into this one and pull it over this one. Okay, let me show you again. You knit the first 2. It's only in the beginning that you're knitting 2, then you're just going to be knitting 1, but you need 2 stitches to perform this binding off. So you have to have 2 stitches on this needle, otherwise you can't pull one over. So you knitted 2, you come into the front stitch over here and you just pull it over like that, and then you take it off your needle. Okay, so now you knit 1. So in the beginning, remember, you've got to knit 2. Now you only knit 1 because now I've got 2 on my needle. Come into the stitch right over here. So you just come into the center of it like that, pull it over this one like that, and take this piece over here off. Okay, so once again, knit this one, come into this stitch, pull it over that one. Sometimes you have to pull this a little bit, because if this stitch is too loose like that, it's a little hard to get this one over. So you're pulling with this one to tighten that one, and then you like this and you just pull this part off like that, and you can see you've got a bind off over there. So you've got to play with this as well. Now if you don't hold it the way I am, if you're just strapping it over like this, you got your 2 come in here, you're still going to have to tighten that one a little bit. See, I'm just tightening it a little bit so this one can get over it like that, and then pull this part right off just like that. Careful not to pull these stitches off because you need these. Okay, so knit, come into this one, pull it over that one like that, and take this off. Okay, and that's as simple as it is, and then you've just bound these stitches off. Okay, so that's the traditional way. This is the way that I usually bind off, but you get lots of other bind offs as well, and it should be looking like this. So yeah, that's really all that you do. It's pretty simple. Once you've mastered that, it's easy enough. Now if you've made a mistake, you can just undo it and pick up all your stitches there. It's easy enough to pick them up and put them back on. See, this is what forms your stitch, and you just put them back on if you need to. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and show you another way. This way, if you bind off very tightly, you're going to have a pretty tight bind off here, which is not a problem, but you don't always want one to be tight. For example, if you've knitted a lacy stitch here, you don't want this to be super tight. So I'm going to show you another bind off that makes this a little bit looser. Now if you do bind off very loosely, you probably want to stick to this traditional way, but if you find yours is very tight and it's puckering your work, you might want to try it this way. So I'm going to show you this other way. Alright, so to do this lace bind off, it just gives you a stretchier, looser bind off, which comes in useful depending on how you bind off and depending on what you're knitting. So I might as well show you this one. Now for this one, this is the front of your stitch over here, and this is the back of your stitch over here. Okay, so now you're going to knit 2 together. Different ways of decreasing or getting rid of stitches is knitting 2 together. If you find that you're knitting and you've decreased your work by accident, it's possible that you've knitted 2 stitches together, which is a bit dangerous because then you're going to have less stitches. It's just a form of decreasing. So be careful of that when you're actually knitting your work, that you don't knit 2 together by accident, because sometimes you might have had your stitches crossed over like this. You might have, you might have your stitches looking like sometimes this. You might have your stitches crossed over like that, and then you just knit it as one. That's how you're going to decrease and end up with less stitches. So just be careful of that. Be sure that your stitches are all aligned correctly like this. Anyway, so this lacy bind off now, coming in the back of your stitch, you're going to go through 2 stitches, okay, through the back. This is the front, that's the back. Just bring your yarn here and come between these 2, knit them together and take them off your stitch, off your needle. Okay, now this stitch is going back onto this needle, okay, and you put it back in the purlwise, so like this. Just put it back like that. Okay, then you're going to do the same thing. Come into these 2 in the back. So you can come to the front first if you struggle, and then take it to the back. Here's your thread, bring it in between these 2, knit these 2 together, take it off, and then put this one back on like that. Okay, same thing. Come through the back of these 2, and be sure that you're getting the back of them. There's the center of this one, and there's the center of that one. So I'm in the back. Bring your yarn under and through the middle. Take it off, and then put this one back onto this needle. Just come in here like this and put it back on there, and you can see you've decreased here, and you can see this is actually a lot more stretchy than what the other one was. And that's all that you do. This is your second one. So come through the back, take it off, put this one back on the needle, and do the same thing. Go through these 2, put this back on your needle, and do that again. Go through these 2, through the back of them, and put this one on. And you do it all the way to the end. I didn't show you the other one to the end, but it's exactly the same. Go through there, whoops, put this back on here, and do the end. Whoops, now look here. This is a good example. My yarn is on the wrong side here. You can't do it this way. If you do it this way, you're making a stitch. See there, I've just made a stitch. So be careful when you do that. Be sure that it is this side of your work, to the right of this needle. Through there, and through there. I just want to come to the end. Through there and through there. Okay, that's the nice bind. Look there, that's nice, and it's a really nice bind off. Nice and stretchy. So that's up to you if you want to do a bind off like that, because now my work's not puckering. Sometimes you'll find that your bind off pulls it together like that, and especially if your work is pretty loose. So this one is really useful. Now when you're doing the traditional one, just let me do this traditional one so I can show you the last stitch. It's just doing this one. All of them are going to end up, whether you do this one or whether you do the other one, they're going to end off with 1 stitch. Now you would have 2 stitches left. You would knit this one, whoa, you would knit this one, pull this one over, and then you've got this last thread that you just pull, and then you cut this off. And this is for both of them. You cut that off, and then you bring this through here. Okay, so there's your loop. Just bring that thread through and you pull it. And there you've finished it all. So whether you do your regular, and you can see this is the nice stretchy one, and you can see this one's pretty tight. It's not going to stretch like that one. So it depends on what you're looking for. But that's how you would end them both off. You end off with your 2 stitches and just bring your yarn through the one. So there you have 2 really nice bind offs, and yeah, I hope that this video has helped you. If you need any help, feel free to YouTube message me. At the bottom of the box you can see there a bunch of other people have asked questions. Feel free to ask me something and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. So yeah, I hope that you enjoy this video and I hope to see you in my next lesson. Thanks so much. Bye.